First, as I say, we need to identify who is going to use the CMDB. Obviously, CMDB is a recommendation of ITIL, so the obvious users are all the ITIL processes, such as incident, problem, change, service level management, asset, and config. That's the first obvious ones. Then, depending on the organization, and as I say, the services we have sold, we have what I call the heavy customers, the heavy users, the ones who have a vested interest having a CMDB in a good shape. And these people, most of the time, have a license to ITSM solution that control the CMDB. The requirements of the people need to be taken in account, because if they are not happy, they will go somewhere else. Another level, we have also what I call the accidental users. That means the people who we need to be aware of when we construct the CMDB, but who does not have access to the system, who are not interested to have a constant access to the CMDB. So in that case, I had 65 stakeholders. That's why it took 1 year to get the solution done. Because it's a lot of people, and a lot of interest, and a lot of emotion around this. Especially when you start from a bad situation where the CMDB was not trusted. You have to convince them why we are doing that again, and why we think that the solution will work, and that they will have an interest in it. The procurement is the first position where you get your information from the CMDB. They don't care about the CMDBs, they have no interest in that. But they provide information. When you understand this, who are your users? Who has an interest having a CMDB in a good shape? Who don't give a damn, but who is very useful to you, because otherwise your CMDB is not going to work. When you understand this picture, then you start to construct your solution. For us in outsourcing, each deal is a different set of services we have sold, so it's not exactly the same thing all the time. We need first to define a common ground, a common language, and to identify what is the driver when you talk to an organization, when you are going to see the HR people. What is your driver? How do you present the CMDB to them? Is it talking about servers? Is it talking about software, application, processes, drawing, whatever? So you have to define what is the thing that will create an interest in the people you are going to talk to. Also, you have to define what do you control. So it's quite interesting. Because you have always the power to accept, to reject, or to, what I say, automate information. If you think that someone comes to you and say, oh, I really want to have the order number on my CIs. Can I control the order number? If my company is taking the order, that's easy for me, because I have control. Maybe it's someone else. If it's the customer, maybe. If it's a third party, no way. Right? Because I have no control on the third parties. Forget it. And that's always the kind of thing you need to keep in mind. Are you in control? If you are not, forget it. Or, in some extreme solution, how can I automate this information? So, for example, for the people with the network monitoring people who didn't want to share information, we automated this information. The creation of the subnet is fully automated. The configuration manager doesn't touch it. There is a script that runs every day, just create the entries, and that's it. And no one needs to challenge that, because we have no way to prove it's right or wrong. So we just automate it fully. Another thing is, do you understand it? And that's the big one for the configuration management people. Because most of the time, in some organization, people believe that the configuration management guy is a genius to understand any sort of technology, which is not the case. No way. This is very dangerous when we talk to some people who are technically oriented and who are starting to get you into spaces you have no idea where it's going. You need to find a common, as I say, common ground, maybe very, very limited, but at least you need to understand, as a configuration manager, what you are going to manage. If you don't understand it, keep away from it. And most importantly, who is responsible for the data that is going to feed the CMDB? It's not someone who understands it. If you say, I need to store information for service-oriented architecture, so in a cloud environment, on virtual, whatever. You can find geniuses who understand it very well. But if you say, okay, if something is wrong in this data, are you going to do anything? And say, no, it's not my job. So you are talking to the wrong guy. Stop talking to these people, it's going nowhere. Find the right owner and make sure they can do something about an accuracy problem. If you can't identify this person, again, just reject the information. What I use, in fact, in this kind of situation, when I want to talk to someone, I use a very, very simplified data model. That's something I'm constantly using. Don't forget, it's a marketing tool, it's a communication tool. It needs to be understood by the people you are talking to, and most of the time by senior management who don't understand a word of UML. Right? So I found this way, which is done in PowerPoint. It's not even using Visio or whatever, so it's very basic. You use colors. I like colors. You will see that in my presentation. Because I think it's visually appealing. If I go to a senior management and say, with this model in my CMDB, I can explain for the people who are in HR and the service of recruiting someone, we are using this application, which is SAP HR here, which is running on this virtual machine, on this big box, in this data center. Most of the time, that's what they want to understand. They say, oh yeah, brilliant, I understand that. Yeah. So that's the point. So if I look at your CMDB, so you can explain what are the dependencies, yes? I can take an example. So one application, it's a banking application. I know who the customer is, the service is a name, and it's monitored, and there is an SLA attached to it, and there also hypervision attached to it, so I can really measure what this service means. And I found that there is two sides. One is production one is the backup. So it's good. Okay, I can see that this application is not going to fail. So if it fails, the blue links just activate and I switch to this side. This application is quite a good one. And one is in one side, the other one is on another side. So in terms of business continuity, that's good, quite good. I have two physical machines. What I will find later is that these racks host 160 different applications, which is not good, but whatever. So that's an example. When you use this kind of approach, you can communicate to a senior management. It's quite easy to understand, and they have the information. Also, I use that discussing with the enterprise architects. I don't know if it's your case, but in all the companies I've been working, it's very interesting to see how enterprise architects are remote from this kind of thing. They don't care how it's physically implemented, most of the time. They have no clue, and they are not interested. So when you do this effort, when you build this model, you explain to them, okay, I need to construct that, please help me understand your application. So the first thing, they give you a chart which is this size, with links everywhere, and don't understand a word what they are doing. It takes a while until you can simplify this thing to something like that. Right? But that's an effort that you need to do. So in terms of accuracy, I take engagement on the different boxes which are on this slide. Nothing else. But this is already something important. So the change management people are really happy with this kind of graphic because they understand it. It's easy. And they see that if I'm going to do something about this server here, okay, I have a backup system, which is fine. So something like that. Something a bit unusual as well. You can see virtual IPs, which is not a standard CI. It's something a bit weird. What I found is that, in fact, it was critical. Again, the network people would not do anything else. But the business people wanted to know what are the links, what are the URLs they are really using for this particular system, right? And in this situation, there are two different URLs. The other thing is, most of the time there is a SSL certificate attached to it, and this costs money. And nobody knows where to put the information. I say, oh, CMDB, it looks nice. Maybe we can put SSL information into it. Okay, we may, right? So we work in this way. We create a CI, maybe. We have to develop our own CI that allows people to manage this. Okay. So that's also a discussion we have with, at this time, with the senior management, because sometimes they are not interested. But when they say, okay, SSL, we are paying something like 200 euros per year per address. And someone make a quick count, and there is something like 20,000 different addresses. It was not managed anywhere. So when you calculate how much it cost every year, and people didn't know on the security side, no one knew what they were used for, who was paying for it, if they are still valid, or if they are obsolete, or whatever. Interesting. So we have a business driver for this, as you were asking for, because there is money attached to it. We have also, it's part of the solution, because if we don't know that, we can't access this anyway. So it's very important. At the same time, it costs money. So I have two business drivers to have this CI in the model.